Good evening, everybody. I hope this video finds you on the best of health. Okay. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why Muslim countries must provide more religious freedoms to its citizens. This is just a general term. Again, I have nothing against Muslims as personally. I have most of them as my good friends. And actually, I'm not going to condone or sympathize with other counter ideologies like Hindutva also. Okay, because everybody must be treated equally. All ideologies must be uh, criticized or chastised depending on how much uh, harm they do to society. This is known as the principle of equidistance, which I have spoken about all around. Okay, also I request you to watch my previous videos. Okay, all my work is linked in a continuous chain, including my videos and my blog Abhilasha. This is not okay. For some reason, it's not appearing prominently in Google search, but I will. I hope it will in a couple of weeks. Okay, and what have been trying to say is that all religious-based ideologies, dogmas, and norms will eventually go all over the world. Religion can be practiced, but it must not contradict with secular human laws and personal freedoms. It must not trample upon personal freedoms, and it must also not contradict with universal human laws, universal human values, as and when they get developed over the next few decades. Okay, and gradually they must be replaced by secular laws, secular values, and universal human values. We must work towards this. Of course, I'm doing my might, but other people must also contribute. Okay, we must take the movement against violating Islamic countries to the next level. Of course, a lot of apostates have come out of the closet, come out with open after 2007. There have been welcome change, and we just try to criticize all ideologies based on how much harm they do to society as a whole. There has been a lot of criticism against Islam as an ideology, and I request you to go through the internet and go through video about this. Okay, what exactly is Islam? Islam is the second largest religion in the world after Christianity and before Hinduism. It originated, of course, as you know, 1,400 years ago in the Arabian Peninsula. It is based on the teachings of Muhammad. Okay, and around one fourth of the world's population is Muslim. That is around 1.9 billion or 1,900 billion. Okay, Muslims are the majority in around 49 countries. They speak many different languages, and besides Arabic, of course, Arabic is some kind of their religiously sanctified language because the Quran was written in Arabic. But they also come from various social, cultural, and ethnic backgrounds also. Okay, countries like Afghanistan, Albania, Chad, Indonesia, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Palestine. All these Palestine is not really countries, but all these countries are Islamic speaking. India also has a large. India was subdivided in 1947. Even after subdivision, partition, it has a large Islamic population, Muslim population. They by and large have coexisted peacefully with Hindus, but they're having some stray incidents. Okay, and trying to reform different religions, Islams, and trying to do with different ways of religious-based ideologies will also have the anti further, and it will lead to better peace and tranquility. Okay, and make the world a better place for people to live in. Okay, Muhammad was born in 570 AD and he died in 632 AD. He fought paganism and polytheism famously. Islam is based on the holy book known as the Quran. It's also based on the Hadith. Hadith is a tradition which contains the words, deeds, and actions of Muhammad. Okay, Islam generally has a reputation for intolerance, and its treatment of women and minorities are also questionable. And Christians and Hindus are not comfortable with Islam in general. Okay, now if you go on to the history of religion in pre-Islamic Arabia, Arabia is a place where Islam began. You had different types of religions. This period is known in Islam as Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means in Arabic, it means the period of ignorance. According to Muhammad, this was a period of ignorance where paganism and polytheism was tolerated. Of course, Kaaba was the place of worship, and idol worship and idolatry was also practiced widely. Okay, there have been different archaeological sites unearthed in the Arabian Peninsula, such as Gerhan, okay. These are over 2,500 years old. And the Bahrain region also has interesting history, civilization before Islam. However, it is not as impressive as Egypt, Sumeria, and Mesopotamia. These are far more impressive. Okay, and even Iran to a certain extent has a interesting history. Interesting history because giraffe, an ancient civilization, has been unearthed there recently. It is also known with the ancient Iranians, okay, who lived 3,500 years ago. From the 3rd century BC to the level of 7th century BC, Eastern Arabia was controlled by Parthians and Sassanids also. These are very important dynasties in the region. There were other kingdoms like Sabian kingdom and southern Arabia between 500 600 BC to around 600 CE. We had other kingdoms such as Ausan, Kataban, and Himyar. We also had the Sassanid Empire in the region just before the birth and arrival of Islam. Okay, Saudi Arabia follows the Sunni branch of Islam. As you know, there are two branches of Islam named as Sunni and Shia. Okay, it depends on who are the successors of the Muhammad. Sunnis believe the three caliphs were the successors of Muhammad. Shias who are mainly concentrated in Iran believe that Ali is the successor of Muhammad. Okay, Saudi Arabia follows Wahhabism. Wahhabism is a reformist branch of Sunni Islam, which originated in the Hanbali school in the 18th century. Okay, it advocates the return to the purest form of Islam that was practiced during the life of Muhammad. It rejects all bida or innovation, which and changes which crept into Islam after the death of Muhammad. Okay, this has been dominant for in Islam for around 200 years, and it calls for a strict interpretation, literalistic interpretation of the Quran and the Hadith. Okay, and also it calls for the adherence of Sharia law in daily life. Okay, and this concept is related to Salafism. Salafism is another social religious movement within Sunni Islam which began in the 19th century. Okay, this also tries to restore Islam to a puritanical form as it existed during the time of Muhammad. Okay, this is also sometimes followed in Egypt, Tunisia, Yemen, and part of the Arabian Peninsula. This is associated with the Islamic Brotherhood also. Okay, and if you look at the religious tolerance in Islam, the religious tolerance in Saudi Arabia, religious tolerance in Saudi Arabia is rather limited, and the Saudi government of Saudi Arabia views religious freedom as a privilege rather than a right. Okay, it thinks considers itself to be a governing board, governing authority, and it does not generally allow for human freedoms the way other countries allow it and practice it. Okay, the public practice of any religion other than Islam is illegal. However, people are allowed to practice in their homes. Generally, they are allowed to bring a copy of the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita for their own personal use. But preaching, public preaching, and evangelization is not allowed. Okay, and atheism generally is prohibited. Questioning the Islam fundamentals and basics or tenets of Islam is prohibited, and Muslims converting to another religion, which is known as apostasy, is punishable by death. Blasphemy or critiquing or criticizing Muhammad, the so-called prophet of Islam, is also not allowed. Okay, and we must fight against all these unhealthy tendencies, and we are living in the 21st century. All these things have to go. Okay, this is not some kind of a pipe dream or a quixotic pipe dream. Okay, I'm not trying to be really very perfect. This has to happen at any cost within the next couple of decades. And Ridda or apostasy in Saudi Arabia is or retracing one steps is not allowed in Saudi Arabia. It practically calls for the death sentence, the death penalty. Okay, even in Islam, apostasy is punishable by death. All four primary schools of Islamic jurisprudence, which are Hanafi, Shafali, Maliki, and Hanbali, call for the death. These schools were many earlier numerous, but they merged over the time. They all call for sentence for apostasy. Okay, so as you can see, religious values dictate functioning of people, functioning of societies in every possible way. Okay, and there is very little secularism in the Islamic world. For example, if you see Turkey, Turkey's Supreme Court has defended some form of secularism, and it tries to see religion as something which exists in the personal domain, personal realm, or personal sphere alone. Okay, it may or may not be practiced in the real world, but on the whole, it is a much more secular country than Saudi Arabia. Even countries like Azerbaijan and Indonesia, or even Malaysia, are relatively more secular. And Malaysia has called for Islam Bahala, or soft version, moderate version of Islam. And even one of the ex-presidents of Pakistan called for enlightened moderation. Okay, but again in Pakistan, if you see, the blasphemy laws are extremely strict, and apostasy is not allowed there. Actually, there is a calling in Pakistan and other parts of the world to tighten religious laws even further, And Saudi Arabia wants to have a law where it will say that criticizing religion in general is not allowed. These are all retrograde and regressive steps. We must fight against them tooth and nail. Okay, and these type of religious laws badly affect the nation's intellectual and emotional quotient and maturity also. This is something that must dig into people's heads. Okay, these people must ponder introspective and drag their base and try to come up with new solutions. Okay, similarly, Iran also, you conversion apostasy is punishable by death. Iran follows Shia Islam. There are only small number of Sunnis relatively, and there is some kind of anti-Islamic movement, and there is a growing interest in Christianity in Islam. Women are wearing long hair, throwing the hijab in the garbage or in bonfires, etc. And a large number, supposedly some 50,000 mosques have been closed in Iran. So there is a small anti-religion movement going on there. But again, if the government loosens up, people may more and more people may go away from organized religion. Okay, and Saudi Arabia in general has tried to carry out some kind of modernization. Okay, Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, women have been allowed to drive. They are allowed to travel now without any guardian. Earlier, they had to be accompanied by a male guardian. Okay, and this is not the way out. Of course, now they have concerts, football shows, Halloween parties. Some other countries even Halloween, symbolic Quran burning in the West. Okay, and we had a concept. We had this Charlie Hebdo cartoons in the West. These are provocative, actually, but this is not the actual way to bring about reform. Okay, similarly, there has been a persecution of innocent Muslims in Uyghur province. They have been sent to reformation camps. This is also not the way, because you cannot take people away from religion from force by force. Okay, and since there is no conceptual clarity on the subject, I have been speaking about haphazard deculturation. Okay, people want to go back to the roots, and in some cases, this may trigger fundamentalism even more. For example, Iran and Afghanistan, Iran before the Iranian Revolution, Afghanistan before the Taliban, women wore shorts. There was co-education. Okay, people were generally free, but now they have gone back to their roots. Okay, so this type of danger is also exists. So for this, we need to have a conceptual clarity. There has been a growing apostasy movement in Islam since 2007. Muslims are coming out of the process. Okay, they're modernizing with time. There have been prominent apostates and critics of Islam like Ali Sina Wafa Sultan and Ayan Hirsi Ali. However, a collaborative approach is now required. That's what I've been harping on since many days, and it must be brought about through the government. Things must go to the next level. Okay, I will not criticize any. I will not spare any ideology, including Hindutva. And our Ten Commandments, therefore, are your proposals are passed off for scholars and essentials for mankind. Okay, it is a complete and total separation of religion and state, developing secular constitutions that grant human rights to citizens. Number three, universal education for all groups and on both genders, and being up to date with the latest pedagogical techniques so that education systems can be brought up to date from time to time. Education, better education. I have written a lot about pedagogy. Please read my papers and my videos, and also my blog post on pedagogy. All these proposals must be implemented so that the world can be made a better place. Number four, granting complete religious freedoms, including freedom to practice, freedom to convert, and freedom to non-religion. Saying number five, saying no to religion-inspired laws, instituting and promulgating secular laws. Number six, taking steps to promote a scientific temper and the spirit of inquiry in society by allowing meaningful and productive debate and improving educational systems. Number seven, phasing out religious education and teaching universal values instead. Number eight, allowing free media. There must be absolutely no censorship of internet and media. Number nine, allowing complete freedom of speech and free and open discussion on religion and permitting constructive criticism of religion in various platforms such as the media and universities. Number 10, moving all nations towards democracy and democratically elected government in use. Okay, this must happen. This is the only way, and we must put pressure on countries. For example, for this, we need more intellectuals, more thought leaders. Social science theory can play a big role. I've written a large number of papers which will aid this considerably, substantially, and significantly. Intellectuals from the Muslim world and non-Muslim world, both of them must collaborate. I am also willing to collaborate with people. Western intellectuals also must play a major part. No more Islamo leftism, all those things are range. relics of fossils of an ancient past. They are antediluvian concepts. Okay, self-driven movements are also play place, but Muslim controls must change with the times. This is the interest in the interest of humanity as a whole. This is possible. Sanctions, for example, we had sanctions in South Africa, which played a major role in dismantling apartheid. Okay, I have spoken about it in another video. So all these changes will definitely make the world a better place to live in and bring about a change in the Islamic world. I am more than happy to collaborate with my Muslim brothers in bringing about such a change. Thank you very much once again. And thank you for giving me a hearing, patient hearing.